Hello everybody, the Music Fan is back, bringing smiles to the faces, knowledge to the people, and most importantly, music to the masses. And I am back with another Are You In? Now I had something planned for this particular video, but something caught my ear and my attention a few days ago, and it made me stop everything because I really wanted to talk about this particular album. So, what is the album in question? Well, that is Starbomb's newest album entitled TryForce. Now, Starbomb is a comedy hip-hop group with members including Dan Avidan on lead and backing vocals, Aaron Hansen on rapping and backing vocals, and Brian Wecht on keyboards and programming. Now, you may have heard of a couple of those names before, particularly Dan Avidan and Brian Wecht. They are the founding members of NSP, Ninja Sex Party. They dropped an album last year that I talked about with my friend Matt, an awesome comedy album with a lot of polish and a lot of very memorable songs. My favorite NSP album to date, and one that made, I think, either my top 25 or my top 20 of my favorite albums of last year. With Aaron Hansen, they created Starbomb in 2013 and have dropped 2 CDs so far up until then, which was Starbomb in 2013 and Player Select in 2014. Now, you also might know these people as members of the gaming family Game Grumps, a comedy gaming show on YouTube that I've done a lot over the years. This band is known for parroting a lot of ideas of certain video games. For example, there's been plenty of Mario parodies on their albums, as well as Pokemon. You got your Legend of Zeldas, you got your Metroids, you got your God of War. The list goes on, and they have parodied and had a lot of really interesting ideas over the years. Out of the 2 so far leading up to this, my favorite was the debut album, because there's a couple more memorable songs, like I Choose You to Die and Luigi's Ballad. But I will also say that the first album did have a little bit of mixing issues. The harmonies were a little bit off at times and felt a little bit jarring, even though Dan has a fantastic voice. Player Select fixes a little bit of those problems, but the songs aren't as memorable. So now we're here. And like on the previous NSP album, they bring in a backing band, which is Tupperware Remix Party, with their members being Lord Phobos on guitar, Commander Meowch on bass guitar and backing vocals, Dr. Sung on keytar, synthesizers, and modified vocals, and Hao Hogan on drums. Now, with a backing band, this gives the album so much more room to grow with arrangements and with just more interesting ideas musically. Now, don't get me wrong, this is also your standard NSP/Starbomb affair, where you do have a couple skits in there. For example, the intro and the outro. The first one being intro called Try, which what I like that they have done over the years is that the intros would always be the endings of the songs that they would make up in the outros. So, for example, on the first outro on Starbomb, Aaron starts rapping 1, 2, 3, I gotta go pee, but then they were like, nope, we need to end the album. And then the intro of Player Select was something about peeing. And then the outro for that one was talking about butts and nuts. And you hear at the beginning of this album, and that's why I think butts are nuts. You're gonna see a lot of that throughout this album, a lot of harking back to songs that they have done before or ideas that they have done before, but I think all of them work very well because of the new edition of Tupperware Remix Party, where you have some more interesting arrangements. The next song in particular, Hardest Fucking Game in the World, has some flute on there. It feels a little bit more like a 90s rap song. This is the first time where I feel the harmonies work very well on Dan's favor. Dan has a fantastic voice, but I feel like sometimes he plays a little bit too much with the harmonies, and there's just too much to listen to. This one works very well, and I love the chord progression on there. And then we go into A Boy in His Boat. The next song dealing with Zelda, in particular this one is about Wind Waker and a conversation between Link and his boat. If you've listened to the previous albums, you will notice that this also is a continuation of Link as a killed back rapper, and the arrangement itself also works in that way. There's also some flute on there and some nice woodwinds throughout it, and the bass line is just kicking. Using an actual bass on here instead of electronic bass works so well on this album. Then as you move along, you start to notice that they parody a lot of video games, but they also reference a lot of different genres of rap. So filling in the name of should be, pretty easy to spot, but it's doing a tongue-in-cheek song about Tetris in the style of Rage Against the Machine. Welcome to the Mario Party is a laid-back, very Snoop Dogg-esque song, and you'll even hear at the beginning with the 1, 2, 3 into the 4. The way that Aaron is rapping is very much mimicking Snoop Dogg, but there also is a part where Sonic starts rapping, and it's this very fast triplet idea that you hear nowadays. Donkey Kong Jr. has Dan rapping. The simple part of Kingdom Hearts harkens back to the first two simple plot ideas, where on the first album it's about Final Fantasy VII, and then the second one is about Metal Gear Solid. So this is, again, a continuation of that plot line. And this is honestly the best one out of the three because of the harmonies from Dan and the melody from Dan, the rapping from Aaron, but also the actual arrangement is fantastic. Again, really, really funky that just works so well and gives the room for Aaron and Dan. Blowing the Payload is another one of these more bombastic and kind of on the style of Rage Against the Machine. And it's a parody of Overwatch. And This Song Sucks is actually a parody of them writing parody songs, which is really cool. A really meta song to almost end the album. And there's also some more song ideas. For example, Vegeta's Serenade is a ballad, a parody song for Dragon Ball Z, and you also get a wild guitar solo appears, which feels very much like a Ninja Sex Party song on a Starbomb album. So there is a little bit more diversity. The ideas that they were taking from Player Select work a little bit better over here. And again, like I was saying, there are some skits, the intro and the outro, for example, and then also Aaron Checks the Mic, which is this freestyle idea, parodying, the hardships of Game Grumps, if you will. And then there's also the Dream Daddy skit, which is kind of a cash grab, but also in a tongue-in-cheek way, where they're talking about every time that you say Dream Daddy, they make money. I will say that these are some of the best arrangements that they have done. And because of that, they are a little bit more interesting and fill up the short time in such an interesting way. The ending parts of the album, Vegeta's Serenade, Blowing the Payload, and also Donkey Kong Jr. aren't that really interesting. I will say in terms of Vegeta's Serenade, even though it's a nice song, it doesn't hit the mark when it comes to its actual joke. Maybe because it's just so slow, but I just didn't find that one particularly funny. But beginning of the album hits really well. And for the most part, every song, its joke hits. And I'm not going to ruin the jokes for you guys. I think it's up for you guys to determine whether or not you like it. I will say, this is a pretty niche CD. First off, you would have to be into listening to a comedy album. Second, you would have to be into video games. Third, you have to understand what's going on. And fourth, honestly, you would have to look back at the source material, even though not all the time. I will say, even though they do continue ideas from previous albums, it's not like you have to know every single thing to know what's going on. Songs like A Boy in His Boat, songs like A Wild Guitar Solo Appears, and the simple plot to Kingdom Hearts do bring back ideas from previous albums, but I think on their own they do stand there. And my other big complaint, though it's actually not seen that much on here, is one that I had from the previous Ninja Sex Party album, and honestly a lot of their albums in general. When it comes to the chorus, they are trying to continue the joke, and sometimes it's kind of hard to understand what they're being said because so many words are flying by, that sometimes the joke hits and sometimes it doesn't. For me, it took a couple of times for certain songs to be able to hear what the chorus is going on, and then to be like, oh, that's where they're going with. I think there are parts, particularly on A Boy in His Boat, and also the simple plot of Kingdom Hearts, where it gets a little bit hard to understand what is going on in terms of the joke in the chorus. But I will say, phenomenal album, my favorite one so far of theirs, and the addition of Tupperware Remix Party adds so much, whether it's the funky arrangements or the bass solo on Welcome to the Mario Party, or the guitar solos on A Wild Guitar Solo Appears, or the rock nature of filling in the name of. All these arrangements, for the most part, stand out very well in comparative to the previous albums, and it gives Dan more license to making more interesting melody lines, and then adding some good harmony parts that actually are pretty solid in comparison to some shaky ones on previous albums. If you are a fan of anything that I just said, take a look. It's honestly only 30 minutes. And then from there, listen to the other two. Altogether, I would say it's about an hour and a half's worth of material. And it goes by really, really fast. A lot of them are funny. And I think because they've worked so well together over the years down, their humor in the songs works very well. I hope this is not the last album by Starbomb, but if it is, it is a great send-off. So that is my time. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you love or hate this album and your reasons why. Share this with your friends and subscribe to my channel so you can see more great videos like this. So Sunday I'll be back with the final part of the Digging Through Discographies with Stone Temple Pilots. But until then, this is the Music Fan, and I am signing off.